Mega Theory, the deep time lore of Spongehenge, an ultra deep dive into one of SpongeBob's most surreal, haunting, and mysterious episodes. Introduction. Spongehenge, Season 5, Episode 18B of SpongeBob SquarePants, is often considered one of the strangest entries in the series. It begins with a haunting windstorm, moves through bizarre jellyfish obsessions, and ends with a time skip thousands of years into the future, where SpongeBob has become a godlike figure of worship. But what does it all mean? What if Spongehenge is more than a surreal SpongeBob episode? What if it's a cosmic tale of identity, sacrifice, and legacy wrapped in layers of existential dread, environmental allegory, and ancient prophecy? Buckle up. This is the super duper mega theory of Spongehenge. Part 1, The Wind, the Beginning of the End. The episode begins with strong, haunting wind sweeping across Bikini Bottom, so powerful it plays SpongeBob's holes like a flute. The jellyfish are obsessed with this sound, and the town is thrown into chaos. But why does this wind exist? Theory. The wind is a cosmic harbinger. In Bikini Bottom, weather rarely happens without reason. The wind in Spongehenge is unnatural. It's too powerful, too haunting, and far too precise in its effect. It doesn't just mess things up. It draws the jellyfish into a trance-like state, causing chaos. It's as if the wind has a purpose. A consciousness. It's possible the wind is a natural force of balance or a cosmic intelligence, like a deity of order trying to correct an imbalance. In this case, that imbalance is SpongeBob's presence in the modern era. The world, perhaps, has gone too far off course, and the wind is beginning the great correction. It's not just wind, it's destiny calling. Part 2, SpongeBob's Obsession, Descent into Purpose. Once SpongeBob realizes the jellyfish are obsessed with the sound of his body being played by the wind, he tries to escape, but eventually gives in. He builds hundreds of stone replicas of himself, with holes designed to play haunting music for the jellyfish. He stays out in the wilderness for months, crafting these structures. He grows a beard. He forgets about work. He becomes a different person. Theory. SpongeBob is entering the role of the chosen architect. Much like mythic figures who retreat into the wilderness for visions or divine purpose, Moses, Buddha, etc., SpongeBob undergoes a transformation. He surrenders his ego and obsession with Krusty Krab work ethic. The jellyfish are no longer pests. They are students, disciples. He realizes he was born for this. The Spongehenge sculptures aren't just art, they're a harmonic temple, each one tuned like an instrument. He's building a sound structure to communicate with higher forces, or to preserve something for the future. He is creating a monument that will outlast civilization. Part 3, The Krusty Krab and Society's Collapse. Back in town, the Krusty Krab is in ruins. Mr. Krabs is starving. Squidward's gone mad. Society itself is falling apart without SpongeBob. This isn't a joke, it's a symbol. Theory. SpongeBob was the glue of civilization. The failure of Bikini Bottom shows us how fragile modern society is. SpongeBob, though seen as a simple fry cook, is actually the foundational stabilizer of the town. Its innocence, its spirit, and its rhythm. When he vanishes, the world becomes chaotic, selfish, and hollow. Even the crabs turn cannibalistic. The message? When pure-hearted individuals are pulled away by higher purpose, the machine of society grinds to a halt. SpongeBob's absence is a warning. Civilization is hollow without joy, laughter, and art. Part 4, The Time Skip. Thousands of years later, the final twist, SpongeBob finally returns to the Krusty Krab, excited to serve burgers, and finds it a fossilized ruin buried under sand. Time has passed. Civilization is gone. Then we zoom out and see the Spongehenge structure still intact. Jellyfish float around it in worship. Theory. SpongeBob has become a god to a new civilization. The Spongehenge temple still sings in the wind. The jellyfish continue to gather, not out of instinct but reverence. They remember. SpongeBob is no longer a person. He is myth, legend, divinity. He created something that outlived him, outlived his town, outlived his species. It is not unlike real-life Stonehenge, Easter Island heads, or pyramids. We know the structure, but not the builder. Except here, we do. And perhaps SpongeBob knew it all along. He chose legacy over life. Part 5, A Larger Connection to SpongeBob Lore. This is not the only episode where time, ancient forces, or godlike status are hinted at. Consider, in SB-129, time travel shows a future SpongeBob in a void with clones, still laughing. In Dunces and Dragons, SpongeBob becomes a knight in a medieval alternate timeline. In Atlantis Square Pantis, he discovers immortal art. In Truth or Square, his memories are recorded and preserved, like relics. Across multiple episodes, SpongeBob is more than a fry cook, he is a multiversal constant. Final theory: Spongehenge is a cycle. What if Spongehenge is not the end, but the beginning? Here's the super theory. The Spongehenge structure is discovered by future sea creatures or civilizations, who then clone or resurrect SpongeBob based on the temple's design and resonance. This recreated SpongeBob lives in a new era, only to eventually build another henge. The cycle repeats. Like reincarnation, like myth, like legend. SpongeBob is immortal, not in body, but in purpose. The wind brought him into the role, the wind ends the cycle, and it begins again. Conclusion: an existential masterpiece in a child's cartoon. Spongehenge is more than surreal comedy. It's an allegory of legacy, a symbol of civilization's fragility, and a meditation on sacrifice and purpose. It asks, what is the value of art? What happens when joy leaves society? Can one being truly transcend time? In the end, SpongeBob doesn't win in a traditional sense. He loses his time, his job, his world, but he gains immortality through meaning. He builds, he disappears. And yet, he is never forgotten, just like the song in the wind.